On the outskirts of the city of Tennessee, in the United States, Amber draws in her notebook during the school bus ride when Bowman, one of her classmates, decides to steal the drawing from her hands. However, as soon as he sees what the girl was doing, the student is frightened and moves away from her. Sometime later, Principal Land talks to Taylor about the recent drawing her daughter made, and the man is confused when he notices the dark scene the girl was able to create. After alerting the person in charge, the woman goes to talk to her student, who reveals that the student being attacked is Bowman, and that she really wanted to hurt him. Upon hearing this, Land is impressed by the evil in the girl's mind and says that despite saying all that, she is doing the right thing by making those drawings, as this is a great way to vent what she is feeling. In order to monitor Amber's psychological state from now on, the principal gives her student a new notebook, asking her to draw in it whenever she feels like it. Far away, in the middle of a large forest, a boy named Jack is playing Minecraft while lying on a fallen tree trunk when he receives a message from his father asking him to come home for dinner. So, the young man starts to leave, but suddenly he trips and falls down the hill, causing his cell phone to fall into the water. After getting up, Jack retrieves the device from the lake, disappointed to find that it is completely destroyed. However, before leaving, the boy notices that something seems wrong and is confused when he looks at his cell phone, which is brand new, as if nothing had happened. Despite this, Jack returns home as usual, where he eats pizza with his father and sister. During dinner, Amber questions whether children like them should be called orphans, since they lost their mother some time ago. Upon hearing this, Taylor is outraged and explains that despite the perishment of the family's mother, he is still present in their lives, so his children still have a father. Trying to provoke his sister, Jack begins to tease her about being maternal orphans, and Amber, furious, knocks the boy's plate down with a blow. Realizing what she has done, the girl runs to her room, and as he crouches down to clean up the mess, Taylor orders his son to stop tormenting her. Irritated, Jack just goes to his room, and amid all the difficulties of raising his children, the man begins to remember what his life was like when his wife was still alive. Meanwhile, the young man goes to take his shower, and when he looks at his hands, he notices that the injury from his fall has disappeared. The next day, Jack begins researching a possible magical water that may have healed his wounds, and when she gets on the school bus, Amber realizes she has forgotten her new notebook at home. Desperate, the young girl asks her father to go get it, but Taylor asks her to go to class without it, saying she will be fine. Hearing this, Amber becomes worried and asks the man to promise not to look at her drawings. Despite suspecting all of this, Taylor promises he won't do it, and during the bus ride, Jack offers his notebook to his sister. However, the girl refuses, and angrily he throws the notebook at her, ordering her to stop acting that way. This attitude infuriates Amber, causing her to throw the notebook out the window. At the same time, Taylor removes his children's main belongings from their rooms so that he can receive clients who will view the residence, which was put up for sale after his wife's perishment. While organizing, the man comes across Amber's notebook, which appears to have been personalized by the girl, making it even more frightening. At that moment, Taylor is surprised by his sister Liz, who asks him to remove the pictures from the wall before the buyers arrive, as this could interfere with their final decision. Irritated, the man goes to his van to store the photos and waits in the vehicle while his sister receives the potential buyers. However, as the minutes pass, Taylor begins to feel uncomfortable with the stuffed animal staring at him, and he puts it away, revealing his daughter's notebook. Remembering the promise he made to her, the man decides not to look at the drawings, but at that moment, he ends up spilling coffee on the notebook and becomes desperate. Taylor quickly runs inside the house to try to clean it, and realizing that this is not working, he opens the suitcase with his wife's belongings. Despite feeling immense longing when looking at all of this, the man remains focused and uses a hair dryer on the notebook. While trying to dry the pages, Taylor ends up burning his leg with the appliance, causing the notebook to fall to the floor and all the drawings to be revealed to him. This leaves the man in shock, and later, the siblings return home, and he discovers that Amber has gotten herself into trouble again after drawing tentacles on her arms. Tired of all these problems, Taylor orders his daughter to hand over all her painting materials. Outraged, Amber goes to her room and questions why her notebook is dirty, realizing that her father has been looking at her drawings. The girl then leaves her painting supplies outside, and soon after, Taylor goes to her to ask his daughter to accompany him to the van, as Liz is going to meet another potential buyer for the house. While doing so, the man notices that his daughter is still drawing, and after confiscating her crayons, he observes the scene drawn by Amber, which depicts her father being devoured by hundreds of spiders. Minutes later, while waiting in the vehicle, Taylor tries to apologize to his daughter, who accuses him of never paying attention to the drawings she showed him. After hearing this, the man becomes upset and interrupts the visit once again to fetch a large box, revealing that he has always kept all of Amber's drawings. Realizing that her father really cares about her well-being, the girl jumps into the front seat and says she will show him her drawings if he promises not to freak out. Taylor agrees, so Amber begins to reveal everything she has done in her notebook, where she has created dozens of sinister monsters that eliminates people in a variety of ways. This makes the man increasingly concerned, and soon after, the girl shows him the drawing of her late mother's tattoo. Moved that his daughter still remembers this, the man praises the drawing, saying that despite everything, Amber is very creative. In order to deal with all this, Taylor has an idea, and after pasting one of the girl's old drawings into the notebook, he explains that the balance between good and evil is the way to ease her psychological state. However, Amber does not listen to her father and begins to alter the image, adding monstrous features to the character she had drawn. Later, Jack returns home after spending time in the forest, and at that moment, it is revealed that the boy was able to repair the broken plate using the water from the river that had healed his hand. Realizing that the lake really does have some magical properties, the young man decides to wait until his father is asleep and goes there once again. What he doesn't realize is that Amber is still awake, and when she sees her brother leaving so late, she decides to follow him, taking her notebook with her. Minutes later, Amber sees her brother holding the wooden box containing her mother's ashes, and confused about what he intends to do, the young woman decides to call him. Surprised by the girl, Jack is startled and tries to pretend he wasn't going to do anything. However, Amber does not believe his words and tries to take the box from his hands. This leads to a fight between the two, causing the girl to almost fall into the water, and being saved by her brother at the last second. The problem is that Amber's notebook ends up falling into the lake, and despite her sister's panic, Jack orders her to move away from the shore and retrieves the notebook with a tree branch. Soon after, the boy says they need to leave immediately, and at the same time, the spot where the notebook fell begins to bubble, as if something were emerging from the middle of the lake. As soon as they arrive home, the pair hear monstrous roars coming from the forest, and upon discovering that all of his sister's drawings have disappeared from the pages, Jack asks her to keep what happened a secret. The next day, Maggie arrives at the gas station for her shift at the convenience store with her colleague Rick and notices that the place is completely messed up. Believing they may have been robbed, the pair try to call the police, but at that moment, a creature appears behind them, causing them both to flee in fear. Back home, Taylor wakes his children up for another day of school and becomes concerned when he notices that something seems to have tried to get in through the window of Amber's room. She slept in her closet because she was scared by the noise. Realizing that something is wrong, the girl confronts her brother, who promises that he will tell her everything when they are on the bus. However, Taylor overhears the conversation, and before the pair leave for school, he asks his son to tell him what is going on. Although reluctant, Jack explains everything he has discovered about the forest lake and says that Amber's drawings may have come to life. Upon hearing this, Taylor thinks it's absurd and orders his son to get on the bus, saying they'll talk when he decides to tell the truth. Minutes later, the man washes Amber's window while waiting for his coffee, but at that moment, he begins to hear strange sounds coming from the forest. Suddenly, Liz appears, and upon entering the house, Taylor notices that his mug is missing and begins to ask if his sister touched the coffee maker. However, Liz pays no attention to this and asks him to take the box of pictures to the van, as another buyer is about to arrive. Before getting into his vehicle, Taylor removes the items from the box and finds the plate that Amber had broken during dinner. Meanwhile, during the bus trip, driver Thompson comes across a pickup truck abandoned in the middle of the road, with a trail of blue paint around it. Confused, the woman parks at a distance, and before she can contact the authorities, she is surprised by Bowman, who honks the vehicle's horn. Irritated, the driver orders the boy to move away, but the noise ends up attracting the attention of a creature that appears in the middle of the cornfield. When she encounters the monster, Amber notices that it is the character she modified in her notebook, and realizing that they are in danger, Thompson yells for everyone to hold on. Quickly, the woman accelerates at full speed to get away, but the creature's footsteps end up creating a tremor on the road, causing the group to suffer a major accident that takes them to the middle of the cornfield. Sometime later, the students wake up, and noticing that the driver is unconscious, Jack says they need to find a way to escape, since the bus door is stuck. At that moment, the creature appears behind the vehicle, and frightened, the young people hide between the seats. Amber then realizes that the creature was sleeping thanks to the music from the truck, so they can play something to make it fall asleep again. As soon as he notices that the monster is hitting the upper exit of the bus, Jack rushes to grab his cell phone, but he ends up being captured by the monster's tentacle, which invades the vehicle. However, before it can pull its victim out, the creature falls asleep, and the young people notice that Den, one of the students, had his iPod with him all along. Now that they have managed to neutralize the creature, the group begins to leave through the opening above, and Bowman runs away alone, without even waiting for his classmates. At that moment, the music on the iPod changes, causing the creature to wake up again, and in a panic, the students run down the road as they try to escape from the giant. Far away, Taylor notices that the school seems to be trying to contact him, and realizes that his cell phone is not with him. Without wasting any time, the man runs into the house, and after interrupting the visit, he asks Liz to call his cell phone, as something may have happened to Jack and Amber. As he does so, Taylor hears the phone vibrating in his closet, which has some paint stains on it, and after retrieving the device, he sees his mug hidden behind some boxes. Confused, he takes it back and is startled to notice a strange eye stuck right behind the mug. Quickly, Taylor throws the thing away and destroys it with his plate, and immediately afterwards, Liz says that the school just called her cell phone. At the same time, the group of students arrives at school, and Amber says she drew the blue monster crushing the bus. Concerned, Jack asks who else his sister drew, and upon thinking about it, the young woman remembers Bowman, who is running lost through the forest. During his escape, the boy encounters a small creature, which begins to scream as if it were an extremely loud alarm. This ends up attracting the attention of a large eyeless monster, who tries to swallow Bowman with his mouth, but fails to capture him. Before he is eliminated, the young man is rescued by the siblings, and so as not to alert the rest of the monsters, Jack eliminates the smaller creature on the riverbank. However, when he gets up, the young man notices that they are facing the giant eyeless creature, and quickly, Amber throws a rock away, drawing its attention. Meanwhile, Taylor and Liz arrive at the bus accident site, where the driver has fortunately been rescued. The problem is that only 2 of the students have been found so far, but Jack, Amber, and Bowman are still missing. Liz then asks if the young people could be returning home, and upon hearing this, Taylor begins to panic. Trying to prevent his children from being attacked, the man drives home, but on the way, they end up hitting an animal that was crossing the street. Upon exiting the vehicle, Taylor and Liz encounter paint splatters beneath the bumper, and as they stand up, the pair is surprised by the cat from Amber's notebook cover, which releases a cloud of paint onto their faces. Although it does not wish to attack the adults, the animal reveals its monstrous form, and after throwing the vehicle away, it leaves. The pair then try to leave on foot, and halfway there, they come across a giant creature standing on top of the electricity towers, and flee in terror. In the city, the siblings arrive home with Bowman, without even noticing that one of the windows has been completely destroyed by some creature. Realizing that their father is not there, Amber begins to despair, and when he sees his sister's drawing materials, Jack has an idea. Meanwhile, in front of the forest lake, a disguised creature approaches the water and takes a notebook from its backpack to start drawing. As the minutes pass, chaos begins to spread throughout the city, and while Bowman watches the emergency news, Jack calls everyone to check out his new drawing, which consists of a supreme weapon that will be able to defeat all monsters. Now that they have a prototype to reverse the situation, the trio equips themselves with their armor and various water weapons, but before they leave, Amber says she needs to use the bathroom. The problem is that Bowman needs to do the same, and tries to find another bathroom in the house, but when he enters Taylor's room, the boy is faced with thousands of spiders everywhere and closes the door. Despite this, some of the creatures end up sticking to the young man's body, and Jack rushes to eliminate them. When Amber comes out of the bathroom, she gets scared and opens Taylor's bedroom door, releasing all the remaining evil insects. Quickly, Jack grabs his water gun to protect his sister and begins to fight the monsters while Bowman runs outside. In complete despair, Amber throws herself into the bathtub, and after much effort, she manages to turn on the tap, destroying all the spiders. Soon after, Bowman appears through the window and uses the garden hose to eliminate all the creatures in the house with the help of his colleagues. Sometime later, Taylor and Liz arrive at the residence and find the place extremely dirty and destroyed, but with no sign of the children. After that, the man hears knocking coming from Amber's window, and as they approach, the pair come across the butterfly that was drawn by the girl and decide to follow it. In the middle of the forest, Amber begins to argue with her brother, and tired of it all, he accuses her of being responsible for everything that is happening. This leaves the girl speechless, and to maintain his focus, Jack continues walking alone, leading him to the territory where the spiders brought all the items they stole from around the city. Soon after, the boy comes across a mysterious creature sitting on the shore of the lake, and discovers that this thing is capable of creating other monsters with its own designs. Quickly, Jack takes the drawing of the special weapon, but when he turns around, he notices that he is being watched, and the fright causes him to drop the paper, which is found and destroyed by the creature. After that, the young people meet again, and Amber reveals that this is the first monster she has made, and for that reason, it may be much more powerful. Therefore, the trio comes to the conclusion that they need to draw a new weapon to defeat the horde of creatures, and they realize that they will have to steal the pens from the hooded monster's bag. Bowman then runs to distract it, but when it encounters the boy, the monster lets out a powerful roar, calling dozens of creatures to eliminate its target. In a panic, Bowman runs through the forest in search of a place to hide, and after asking Amber to hurry with her drawing, Jack sets off to help him. During the chase, the young man manages to hide in a cabin, allowing him to protect himself from the creatures, who continue in pursuit of their target. At the same time, Amber picks up the backpack from the ground, but is surprised by the creature, which tries to attack her. At that moment, Jack appears carrying a spray can and a stove lighter, creating an improvised flamethrower that scares the monster away. In the middle of the forest, the other creatures hear their creator's screams and begin to return to help him, but Bowman ends up being frightened by a spider, drawing everyone's attention again. The boy is then found, but before they can eliminate him, the creatures are surprised by Liz and Taylor, who appear attacking those things with a shovel and a lawnmower, accompanied by the butterfly. Back on the shore, Amber tries to draw something, but none of the pens seem to work, and at the same time Jack ends up tripping. This causes the crayon monster to climb on top of his body, and because its head is melting, it splashes several boiling drops on the boy's face, managing to disarm him. Before her brother is finished off, Amber appears in front of the creature and attacks it with several tentacles coming out of her arms. After being thrown away, the girl steps on her enemy's arm, and in a rage, the monster manages to capture her. However, Amber claims she would not be afraid of her own drawing, and before her sister is eliminated, Jack strikes the creature with a powerful blow from his magic sword. Suddenly, Bowman appears, holding the magic weapon he had drawn earlier. Confused, Amber asks where Jack found that sword, and he says he took a piece of one of the old drawings his sister made many years ago. At that moment, Taylor arrives at the scene and is surprised to see Amber destroying one of the creatures with extreme ease using her tentacles. Soon after, the box of old drawings falls from the sky, and Amber says that something incredible is about to happen. Suddenly, a huge cloud of magical dust covers the entire region, and at the same time, Jack watches the spectacle of stars coming out of the lake. Nearby, while bravely fighting the creatures, Liz receives help from several brave hearts, who begin to scare the creatures away, causing them to flee. The great magical explosion from the lake scatters the stars all over the city, allowing Amber's happy drawings to begin fighting the evil monsters. Meanwhile, Jack takes the box with his mother's ashes out of his backpack, and before he can act, he is surprised by his father, who tries to comfort him after everything they have been through in their lives. However, as he approaches, Taylor notices that the box has been partially destroyed during the confrontation, and hugs his son along with Amber, saying that everything will be fine from now on. Sometime later, after saying goodbye to their father, the siblings board the bus with their new friend Bowman for another day of school, and Amber feels excited as she draws a new version of her mother's butterfly in her new art notebook. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.